All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Network Effects. Today, we have a special guest. One of my buddies going back years, like almost 20 years, just found out by happenstance that he's a crypto developer. I don't know much of the details, but we're about to get into him. Stay tuned, and please like and subscribe. All right, so Scott, man.
Yeah, man. How you doing?
Good, man. It's good to see you. It's been what, 20 years? Roughly?
Yeah, I mean, we met like year 2000, so it's like 22. We're
Yeah,
up
so it
there.
was undergrad. It was undergrad, right? Or was it grad? It was
Yeah,
undergrad. It would have been 2000. So 22 years, bro.
it's nuts, right? When I think about that.
That is nuts, man. So basically, what happened was the reason that we're connected is I posted something on Facebook, and most people aren't in tune to crypto, don't know much about it. Plus, I'm very inactive on Facebook. Anyway, I think I got one comment, and it was from Scott, and I posted the first video that I did on this channel, which is what I learned from my conversation with Richard Hart. And anyway, Scott asked, he's like, "Man, why do you follow this guy?" I could interpret tone, I could interpret, you know what I mean, but knowing the way how polarizing Richard is, I interpreted, man, why are you following this dude? Anyway, so I was like, hey man, I'm like, dude, would love to just catch up and chat. And he mentioned that he's living the crypto life in a text. And so anyway, that's that. And so I don't know anything. Like this is our first conversation in
Yeah, me
over
either.
20 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Yeah,
So
it's cool
yeah,
though.
man.
I know a little bit about HEX. I know a little bit about PulseChain, PulseX. I donated just a very small amount, whatever it was, just to see how it would turn out. I
Smart,
test a lot of things in the crypto world, so a lot of them don't pan out, but some of them do.
right? I'm glad you did that. I mean, personally, I think that was a smart move. Obviously, no
Yeah,
financial advice to anyone. Not now. Was it? Did you donate? Did you sacrifice essentially to PulseX and PulseChain, or just one or the other, or both?
PulseX.
PulseX. See, and
Yeah.
that's what that one's has some interesting gamification and things like that. But, and I mean, maybe just jumping back real quick, like when did you get into crypto, and what got you into crypto, man?
Sure, yeah. So I started in 2017. In 2013, my dad was the one who kinda introduced it to me. He showed me what a miner looks like just in a magazine, and I was like, "Whoa, look
Yeah,
at this thing. It's just like a square cube, like, I don't even understand this world." And, looking back, of course, you're like, "Damn, that was the moment," I waited 4 years to do it, and then I bought miners, so that's how I started. I bought 3 miners, with some friends actually went in on one with me, Mr. MW, and,
oh really? I
yep.
just talked to him not long ago, like a month ago.
Yeah, he went in on a minor with me. P. Voorhees
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
also went in. My dad went in. So I split 3 minors with 3 people. And they ran for about a year and a half, and then they became unprofitable just because the electricity was too much. And so I turned them off. We all turned them off. We decided that was the move. And we sat around for like another 18 months. And then one of the guys actually pointed out, "Hey, have you noticed that because of the price of Bitcoin, these things are selling for like almost retail again?" And I was like, "No." And so I looked on eBay, and sure enough, we paid 3,000 each for these miners, and they were selling for like 2,000, 2,500 again. And I was like, "What's going on?" And sure enough, the price of Bitcoin had gone up enough that they were valuable again. They were able to
Right.
mine at a profit. So the real move, if you're a miner, don't turn it off when you're not in a profit, because you got to understand that the price of Bitcoin is going up anyway. So just mine it, hold it, you'll become profitable. Don't worry about the, little bit of electricity costs that you have to pay.
Right. So this good advice, by the way. And so you went into mining in 2017, you said.
Yep.
That's essentially when you did it. We're aware of it in 2013. So just brief history of mine. So I got into Bitcoin in 2013. In August, I believe it was August 3rd or August 5th of 2013, bought my first 5 Bitcoin at 95 per. And the company I was running at the time was an analytical scientific company, water microbiology, chemistry, etc., in the Bay Area. That's where we were headquartered. And I had a whole warehouse space. And in our PE group meetings, I would even bring up like, guys, we should get into mining. I have a literal whole end of my next to my laboratory. I have a whole room where we could do it, and we could, and anyway, it was shot down. And plus I didn't know how to do it. I just knew how to access my Coinbase and
Yeah.
buy my Bitcoin. And then I didn't always use it for the best purposes, you know, and I got burned by the Mount Gox, by
Ah,
Mark Karpels in the Mount Gox. I'm still getting letters from Japan, telling me when they're gonna give me
yeah,
my Bitcoin back, and unfortunately, the majority of them were in Mount Gox because that was the exchange to use. I
yeah,
mean, that
there wasn't many options. I mean, when I started, I was using Ether Delta. You remember that?
I don't remember Ether Delta.
Yeah, that
It
was
rings
like
a bell, but I don't remember any of the details of it or
Wild Wild West, man. I mean, just,
well, and this
you
would
know
have been when I took a break also. So because after the whole thing in 2014, 2015, man, I kind of
yeah,
left crypto alone. I held it. I watched what it did. But it was really in the last couple years that I kind of dove back in because it was technology's always been a passion of mine.
yeah,
And I always saw that the vision of Bitcoin, and I was living in Santa Rosa, so 45-minute drive from San Francisco, man. I could literally use Bitcoin to go down and buy a sandwich or a cup of coffee. There was utility for it then, you know, and I know there's arguably utility for it now, more store of value now, at least from my perspective. But anyway, so it's crazy that you know, we got into it you know, quite a bit before everyone else is getting into it.
yeah.
So
It's wild. I mean, I when I talk to people now, it's like interesting. I've been taking a lot of Uber and Lyft lately, and just crypto comes up in conversation, and everybody's like, "Am I too late? Am I too late?" And I'm like, "Bro, like,
should I buy Shiba?
yeah, exactly." I'm like, "I can give you my advice, you know, this is how I trade if you want to know. It's not how everybody trades, but, here's what I did. You can take my advice or leave it,
Right,
but if you wanna get in, then just start,"
right.
you
Where do you
know?
recommend they start typically if they ask?
I have some favorites. Obviously, like you said, not financial advice, of course, but
Certainly.
I like AVAX due to transaction speed. I've never settled a transaction faster in my life than AVAX. And
It's fast.
I know Solana talks about they have like 500,000 TPS or something like that, 50,000, whatever. It's crazy. These things are higher than Visa, MasterCard, American Express. They're much faster. But Solana, they tout a really high transaction speed, but Solana's gone down twice in the past year. Uh,
Bingo.
and I don't see it as fast. Though I've flipped some NFTs on Solana on Magic Eden. I've made some money through
Yeah,
Solana,
Magic
but
Eden, Digitalize.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but it's not one that I follow, even though it's like number 9 right now, by market cap.
right.
Um, so it's interesting. I like AVAX. I'm still always going to be an Ethereum fan. The product I'm building, I'm going to launch on Ethereum. I know the fees are high, but as soon as that
Beautiful.
situation gets settled, this world changes. I mean, it's going to boom. It's going to explode. As soon as Ethereum fees become feasible again, reasonable, like we were paying $2, $3 for a transaction back in the day, that changes everything.
Didn't Vitalik used to say that now I could be wrong if it was $8 or 8 cents, but didn't he once say 8 cents was too high for a transaction? Like
I don't know,
Vitalik
actually. I'm not
early
sure.
so it's interesting you say this because first of all, yeah, I've played with AVAX. It's fast. Um, what first of all, let me hold on real quick since you mentioned Solana.
Mhm.
Hex has never gone down in its entire history. Zero downtime. Obviously, that's a coin, although it's much more complex than a coin. I mean, people are building on top of Hex, which is what's fascinating. But when you mentioned that you're going to develop something what you're developing on Ethereum, man, you realize that PulseChain is essentially going to be the first stateful fork of Ethereum, stateful fork of any blockchain, period. So every single ERC20 or ERC 721 or anything that you have on Ethereum currently,
Yeah.
you are going to have on Pulse Chain day one, like on the launch. And so
That's
whatever you're
interesting.
building on Ethereum, when network effect happens on Pulse Chain, which I believe is just inevitable, because what better marketing idea than everyone that uses Ethereum has something to play with the moment it launches. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That they can start they can pair liquidity, they can and earn incentive tokens, they can do a number of things to work on it. However, with your development, I mean, you will also have the option of basically, you know, depending on where you want to point your front end, but you could even with what you're developing, Pulse Chain is essentially ETH 2.0 before ETH 2.0, man. It's
yeah.
proof of stake. It's the transaction fees are a bit faster than Binance, which is fast. I don't remember exactly how it compares to AVAX, but I mean when you're talking that fast, you're talking fast. And
Milliseconds.
Yeah, very fast. You're saying 12?
Milliseconds.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, I thought you said 12 seconds. I was like, wow. I was like, that's your
No,
experience is different
milliseconds.
than mine.
Faster. When I
Millisecond.
transact on AVAX, it's in my wallet faster than I can check it.
Yeah, see, that's what I think you're gonna see with PulseChain. And so obviously I'm always gonna be a big I'm gonna and I don't I want you to it's cool you're aware of PulseChain and PulseX, and I'm absolutely here to happy to answer any questions. I know your time's limited though, and I wanna I mean, to whatever degree you and I'd love to talk about that as much as you'd be willing to. However, whatever you can mention as far as what you're developing, however general you want to be,
Sure.
man. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah, I'll
I'm
tell you about
interested.
it. So I'm starting a company, it's called ClaireIntelligence, and, Claire is short for clairvoyant, and what I'm building is a crypto screener, that looks at the top 2,500 tokens by market cap. And we have basically two versions. We're going to have a standard version, which gives you access to daily data. And then we're going to have a premium version, which gives you access to daily and hourly data. So, it's going to be a Web3 service. So to connect to the site, you'll attach via Wallet Connect or MetaMask.
Mhm.
I'm launching a token, a Claire token to go along with it on Ethereum. So you'll have to hold basically X number of tokens to get that daily data, and then X to the second to get the hourly data. And when you basically the idea is I've built some, I spent 12 years, you don't even know this, but my history is I spent 12 years working for colleges, helping them find students that would start and graduate, not start and
Right,
drop.
right.
So it was a lifetime customer value problem. So I got really good at media optimization. At the peak, I was managing $40 million in lead gen spend
Wow.
for about 50 different lead sources, and we're generating leads for associates, bachelor's, and master's degrees. And I was able, to go time and time and time again. Seriously, I bounced from agency to school, just building the exact same system everywhere I went. And the problem I found was nobody had clean data. That was the issue. Nobody had good data. Well, in crypto, it's all public. That data is available. It's freely available. And
Yeah.
so we use CoinMarketCap. That's our source APIs. We suck the data into an AWS database, and then we have a React front end. And yeah, like I said, you get 2,500 tokens, and then I've built some algorithms and indicators based on my history that I know are effective at identifying um, the up and comers. I really built it
Yeah.
in mind. Crypto winter. We went 2 years basically trading
Oh, yeah.
side, and it was brutal. There was really nothing happened. But during that time, there were tokens like Polkadot that came out of nowhere to reach top 20. And so my
Certainly.
goal was to
Things
build
like
a
Chainlink.
tool that would identify those up and comers, coming out of nowhere. And so I haven't had a crypto winter to test it in, but I'll tell
Sure.
you this. I got the first version, and this was before we even had a front end. I was just sucking the data into Excel, and I wrote up a little blurb about it on LinkedIn. Some guy found me and said, he's this guy in the UK. I never met him before. He said, "Hey, I like your idea. I want to give you a couple $1,000s to test it, but here's the deal. Whatever the data says is what you have to buy. You can't go research the companies, and you can't make any informed decisions on your own. I want a data only test." And I was like, "All right, you got it." So
So
swear
basically
my
something
life,
like, hey, forget fundamental analysis, basically kind of TA driven
out the
decisions.
w- out. Yeah, it's
Data
it's
driven
actually
completely.
it's actually really trends. If you want to know the truth,
Yeah.
I can't get too much into how the algorithms and indicators work.
Yeah.
There are
I
some
respect that.
There are some standard, like, technical indicators that everybody would know. The one I've gotten into recently actually is the TTM squeeze for anyone who cares. That's a
Yeah.
really interesting graph, super simple to look at. So my goal is to allow you to essentially filter data down into a list from 2,500 to maybe 20, let's say, on the daily charts. And then I'm going to pull up the hourly charts and say, how are these 20 trending on the hourly? If I can trade these on a day-to-day basis. And so that's for the day trader kind of side.
So yeah, I was gonna say this sounds like a product for traders specifically. I mean,
It's
for
for
people that are
investors. It is
yeah,
for investors. Yep.
for
Yep.
investors and I mean, especially when you're mentioning that there's an hourly option
Yep.
versus a daily option. I mean, traders are
And if
who
you want
you
to get serious about it, we're considering a minute version once we've launched, because if you are a day trader and you look at those hourly charts and you got those down and you want to start looking minute to minute and start scalping and start running some bots based on the data that you're looking at, it's all there, you know. And when you look at 2,500 tokens, a lot of people might say, you know, there's 12,000 tokens out there. Why aren't we looking at them all? Well, when you get down to number 2,500, you're looking at a market cap of like $50,000. I mean,
Right.
it's so manipulatable that it's really an unsafe token mostly. So
Sure.
I kind of wait, and you can filter those out. You can filter by market cap, you can filter by trading volume, um, and among other things that we're still developing right now. Those are the two that we have essentially developed on the front end right now. Um, and so I've built a team. I've actually found people and they've found me that are willing to essentially volunteer on this project for a couple months and get
And
remunerated
creating
in
some
token.
token.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did this myself. I launched a token called Zenith Chain. You can see it now. They just raised 35 million bucks. I built their
Yeah.
community, 10,000 member Discord in 2 months, 1.7 million likes on their coin market cap token, you know, 20,000 token holders. So, and they just raised 35 million, and we did that in less than a year. I just stepped away from it actually last month,
Yeah.
but we did all that in a year, you know. But I wanted to go focus on my own because I saw, look, man, this is easy. You know, like this guy started in Nigeria building it's its own blockchain. You know, it's
Right.
legit. And I don't know, I was like, yeah, I can help you do this. I can help you do this. I can help you do this. So I did that. And then I went to work also for another company called Club Rare that's really unique. They do redeemable NFTs. So it's kind of like a mix between eBay, Amazon, and Christie's. So it's
Mhm.
like if I have a Rolex watch and I want to NFT it, you can send it to Club Rare. They'll create an NFT, a fancy NFT for you. They'll send the NFT to you and hold your watch. You can
Yes.
put
It's
that
almost like you
watch
tell
up
an
for,
escrow.
yeah, you can hold it up for put it up for auction. You can donate it. You can gift it. If you want the watch back, you send us the NFT. You get the watch back.
Yeah. Whoever
Um,
has the NFT gets the
yep,
watch, period.
yep. So it's cool because it's NFTs, but it's tied to physical assets. So
You know, I've heard of something like that recently. In fact, I've heard of even fractionalized NFTs for even assets such as a Rolex watch, which I
and
don't,
homes,
yeah,
homes is what I see right now.
yeah, and homes, yes, homes certainly. When I heard about it for Rolex, I'm like, why would you want to, you know? Then again, with the appreciation of Rolexes, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Did you know
I
that
mean,
that's, like, one of the most appreciating assets in the last 5 years?
oh,
Rolex watch.
absolutely, man. I don't know how much you follow Richard, but one of the things that people dig him on is uh, dig him in terms of like him and dig at him on is the fact that in many of his videos he lists the value of his watches. I mean, you're talking a guy that's got almost $10 million of watches. He has them spinning right next to you, and his whole point is he says, guys, by the way,
These
don't
are
buy
invest
this garbage. Like this stuff is he goes, my Timex will tell time better than these things. However, they get you guys attention because one of the things Richard did was, dude, everyone ignored him. I mean, he's called the Bitcoin top twice. He came up with this hex coin for years. Still to this day, it's mostly died down, but people would call it a scam. They'd be like, "It's a scam! It's a scam! It's a scam!" And Crypto Exposed. If you saw my second video, I responded to it. But he's a guy that goes after any scammer. He's anonymous and he goes after every scammer brutally. And he had to say many times. I mean, I think I even have sound clips here where you know, it's like
HEX is not a scam.
you know, where he kind of made his official you know, his whole point is the contract does what it says it's going to do. It does exactly that. Where
yeah,
people have an issue is the centralization of the token. However, given and listen, with man, you're a smart guy, and with your mind, and you know, it's dude, I got to send you some hex, bro. I
alright.
got to. I
I
got to
don't
send
know
you
that.
some hex, bro. Yeah, you don't own any, so I'm gonna get you some, and then hopefully you look into it more by having it and get on board. However, you know, with what you're developing, I mean, one of the things that I've learned from experience, just in my own experience, and that's why your product is interesting, is most traders get wrecked, dude. Most traders get
Paper
wrecked,
hands, paper
and
hands.
paper hand, yeah, paper hand, yeah, exactly. Call it paper hands, or call it that they're looking at the wrong indicators. I mean, there's, you know, I mean, there's so many different people that will kind of sell packaged indicators, which is why, you know, your service sounds interesting, that it's its own Web3 interface to which you can basically connect through MetaMask or Wallet Connect or whatever your wallet is, and you also have a token. I'm interested as to the utility of your token, and maybe it's to pay for your membership fees, but
The access,
what
you can't even see the data until you hold the token.
okay, smart. So it has built-in utility in it. Now, the fact that you're launching this on ETH, you realize that well that you're going to be able to access. I mean, with just a slight tweak, you could probably apply this thing to PulseChain also, because here's what you can expect with PulseChain. The same stuff you saw happen on Binance with small gas fees. I mean, there's going to be a lot of scams that come up on PulseChain, and obviously holding the underlying token is a value. And I know of several reputable projects that are going to be on PulseChain. I mean, every ERC20 is going to be on PulseChain. Things like USDC, they obviously have admin keys. They can turn those coins off, but there are other stable coins, algorithmic stable coins like USDL, which is something called liquid loans. But my point is, your product it sounds like to the audience that I currently have, which is, I'm assuming mostly hexicans and people that are, PulseCans, PulseXicans, the terms we have for this community, which, by the way, is probably one of the coolest things about this community. You having built a Discord community, you understand the value of it, but I've never seen anything like the Hex community.
Community is a
again,
hard thing to build, if you want my opinion.
it's a hard thing to build, man. And when if you look into Hex streamers, man, there's so many people that have literally were made millionaires. I mean, dude, this coin did it. If you go bottom to top, it did a 10,000x within the first 2 years, and it's currently sitting at like a 2200x. I could be off by a week or two on my number, but a 2200x from if you would have got in on day one. If you would have got in on day 30, that's where you're looking at even higher gains. But we're talking, it stood the test of time. Haters have had to shut up. You know what I mean? Richard has debates. If you watch anything on his channel where he's debating Bitcoin maxis, he's debating some of the best experts in the space. And I mean, he just went against Bitcoin Magazine 2 weeks ago, shredded them. And dude, they took the video down. I mean, he just went against Peter Schiff. Like, my point is, this guy's products are ridiculously good. And if you're looking for ETH 2.0 to kind of really blow up the market and have a even better use case for your product, man, I'd start looking at, I mean, all the code is public. Testnet is live right now. So it's not like it's some mystery. You can actually go in to Testnet. You can actually get test pulse from a faucet, and you can actually go play with it right now as we speak. You can go mess around with it. And
I
so
did that.
Oh, have you looked at, I mean, how much work it would, I'm just curious from a developer's perspective, not being a developer myself, does it seem as intuitive to be able to simply use your tool on PulseChain?
So I don't know what the smart contracts on PulseChain are built on. The Ethereum contracts are built in Solidity mostly.
Right.
So I taught myself enough Solidity that I was able to go launch a token myself. So I know how to write basic smart contracts. And honestly, you can write an auditable CertiK contract that's still a piece of garbage. I mean, I've seen Ponzi's that are CertiK.
Of course.
So that doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, that say they're audited, etc.
I don't know what the smart contracts on Hex or Pulse are built on, but this will be
if it's a fork of Ethereum. I mean, if it's a fork of Ethereum or essentially a fork of BSC, I don't know what the exact technical term is, but and everything's compatible. All I know is everything's going to be compatible.
Yeah, it's built on like an EVM, Ethereum virtual.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah,
So,
probably.
I mean, really forking it at a certain block.
This is really a tool that can be used for anything where you're ranking anything. So any financial market, this can apply to. Once we've built this for crypto, I plan to build it for traditional stock market. If you want to rank, like athletes, for example, this tool would do that too. I mean, it's really an optimization tool. It's non-biased, and it just says, here's the data, here's the facts, and here's the likely outcome.
Wow. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you got, man. Would you have a front end up yet, or like a public front end up yet?
It's staged. It's on a staging site, so I can't share it yet. Eventually, it'll be ClaireIntelligence.io. The domain is secured. There's nothing there now because literally I got the front end of this 2 weeks ago. So, and my developer is really only actually part-time. So we're not moving as fast as I would like.
It takes time, man.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've realized, because the plan is to train Claire in machine learning and then AI, because I understand those systems really well. I got really into fraud detection and some when I was doing the lead gen stuff, I started to think that we were being scammed, and so I really got into. Actually, I thought people might be using synthetic voices to generate leads for themselves to generate income. And
Really?
so I
Yeah.
actually had a company analyze our calls to see if the voices were unique on each call. And yeah, they were. It was like 98% unique. So my theory was false, but it really led me down an interesting path of fraud detection. And to go a step further, I'm actually a believer that we can solve patent with Web3. You got to imagine if Web 2 was uploaded to Web 3, all of a sudden the owner of every piece of digital content ever in existence. And so
Yes, you
if
do.
used, pay me to use it.
Right.
That's the future. That's why there's these high yield instruments out there right now that are available, because it's so easy to make 10, 20, 30% on even stable coins, that these companies that
Oh
are
yeah.
paying out 7 to 12%, they're still making 20 themselves, even if they're only doing stables, and that's unleveraged.
Of course. That's why if you're staking with like a crypto.com or a Coinbase, you're staking stables. It's why dude, go to DeFi and see what you can do with those stables, because you can get a much better
I've seen
rate on your stables.
100% on stables. Even on USDT, I saw 100% APY. I was like,
Wow.
"Damn, that's out there."
That is risky.
Yeah. I
I was
mean,
gonna say
it's like
the higher
but
the return, the more risky.
to me, something like HEX is also a little risky in the sense that, this is a token that can be minted at any time, right?
So let me clarify that. So it can be mint. Here's how it's minted. It's so when you have your coins, right? So you buy liquid hex, right? And by the way, there is centralization, and there's an argument as to why that's good. The centralization is by, we don't know whom it is, right? I mean, we believe Richard knows who it is, but we don't know who it is. However, that it shows that a token's never been sold. That the whole point of that is to save people from people trying to come in and manipulate it, right?
Yeah.
However, the supply inflates at 3.69% a year is how it inflates. However, here's the way tokens get minted is let's say you buy your hex, right? You swap into hex from ETH or USDC. That USDC is a good pair, and you stake that on go.hex.com or a number one of these other options. Then and man, some of the stuff that's been created, we'd need more time for me to explain to you what's been created on top of hex for hex anyway. But essentially, when you stake those coins, they're burnt. They get burnt from the supply instantly. So when you stake your coins, you burn them. Now you have to keep your promise. In other words, those coins, you mint your own rewards. So you mint your own rewards. Now you get, if you staked a year, and now bigger pays better and longer pays better. If you were to stake a year on average right now, you're getting like 12%. But if you're looking at the 10 plus years, you're looking at 49%, 39 to 49% roughly. But as compound interest works, or as we like to say, inflation, you're getting paid inflation, not technically interest. And Bitcoin inflates. Bitcoin inflates until it hits its 21 million. And
Yeah. It's
so
90% mined though. So there's really, and
what's
that's
that?
100 years. It's 90% mined Bitcoin, and there's 100 more years of mining left.
Right,
So
100 more years of mining
yeah.
and 100 more years of inflation, right? And I think Bitcoin was like roughly 2% when it was inflating at roughly like 2% a year. Now, obviously, that's 2% of what's left. But however, so those coins don't mint until you actually choose to mint them. So once your stake is over, and you cannot mint them until your stake is up. So if you commit to, and by the way, the average stake length is over 6 years now. So
Huh.
people
That
are
is an
believing in
interesting
this.
route to go. I'll say that if that's true, that they're literally burned, like sent to a zero address and
Yeah, you
disappear.
can look at it.
That's cool. That's an interesting theory.
Yeah, and you can look at it. You can actually watch. You can watch the mechanics. The tokens are instantly burnt, and they're gone. They're out of the supply. So the concept that people think when it's like they can be minted at any time, it's you can mint your coins at any time after your stake length has been up. You get to mint your principal plus your rewards.
But
Now,
if it inflates at only 3.69%, how is everyone able to unstake? You know, if there's like a run on the bank, for example, then what
you
happens?
can't, so you can't unstake. So that's the whole
Oh, you
point.
can once your period is over.
Oh
So
yeah,
what?
once your period is over. So
Yeah,
one of the things that's interesting is, since everything's, very clear on the block explorer, you can go to Etherscan, and you can see what people's patterns tend to be. You can see because people like to do staking ladders, like the longest you can go is 15 years, 5,555 days. So you might see that people have a 15-year stake, a 10-year stake, a 5-year stake, a 1-year stake, then an each monthly stake, and people are becoming the bank. The here's the problem, though, is the amount of people staked. It's only about 10% of the people that hold HEX that are stakers.
I
And
see.
so here's where the rewards come from. So there's that inflation of 3.69%. Well, obviously that's not enough to make these high numbers. But when people do an emergency unstake, so I should say you can emergency unstake. However, there are penalties. If you do it before half your time is up, you don't get any of your principal. Your principal's gone. Now you can stake for as little as a day, and you can see your rewards. With gas fees, it's pointless to do that.
Sure. Yeah.
But you can actually see your rewards. Hold on, what was the point I was trying to make? Oh yeah, if you go once half your time is up, then you can get your principal back. You can get part of your principal back. I forget exactly how the terms work, but or how the lengths work. But it's difficult to get your principal back. So you can't just unstake. Like, for instance, let's say I have some oh gosh, what's a coin that I have over on BSC? Let's say I have some BSC pad tokens, right? Let's say I have some BSC pad tokens and I have them staked. Dude, I can go unstake them right now. I can go and unstake them right now. If things
Yeah.
get bad, oh, I get scared. I want to paper hands. HEX, it saves you from yourself. That's the
Yeah.
whole point of it, dude. Your tokens are burnt. Like, price tanks, hey, sorry, what are you going to do about it? Price jumps, hey, sorry, what you going to do about it? That's why, stake, but yet, dude, price could drop 40% if you're in one of these longer stakes. You're getting 40%. Like, you're good. You're still even. And price, if you look at a chart, man, let me show you. Let me show you this real quick. One of the good sites to go to that especially with someone like you that likes data, is it's a site that a gentleman from our community named Gerardo created, and I think it'll fascinate you. Just one second. Because it blows a lot of people's minds once they see it. Right here. So it's called lookintohex.com.
Okay.
And so, I mean, if you
Oh,
look
cool.
at,
Yeah,
here's
this
some
is totally.
charts.
I'm a chart guy. Yeah, visual
Yeah,
data is my jam.
perfect. So, I mean, if you look at, and you look at return on interest from launch, right? Let's just say we want to click that and drill down into it. Hold on, did I just click over to see?
Liquidity is an interesting one too. Did you know? So this is one question that just came up as you say this because you're saying the tokens are physically burned. Did you know that
Yeah.
sites like CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, the way they calculate market cap is
Oh,
actually
dude.
it's circulating supply times price, and so that includes liquidity, that includes treasury tokens. So I actually built a tool for one of the companies I worked for that showed the value of tokens in wallets over time,
Yeah.
and that's that's a tool that the public needs. You know, if somebody doesn't build it soon, I'll build it next.
So it's interesting you say that. So let me tell you something. This is actually pretty fascinating. So currently, we collectively, as Hexicans, have a lawsuit against coinmarketcrap.com. Now, the reason we say coinmarketcrap is because Hex is always at number 201. Always. It's permanently at 201, even though you go to like anomics.com, or you go to which they've made a couple adjustments because they understand the nuances and how unique Hex actually is. And the fact that CoinMarketCap doesn't count Satoshi's coins, right? But yet or let's see, they count Satoshi's coins, but they well, gosh, I'm complicating
It's
things now
highly
because
manipulatable. The market cap function itself is highly
it's pointless.
manipulatable
Like,
for a
the
token
thing
that
is,
can be
Richard's
traded.
argument is CoinMarketCap. People care about price, and CoinMarketCap it's a vanity metric, you know?
So is circulating supply, in my opinion, because
Yeah, it sure
for a lot
can
of
be.
tokens, it can be, I mean, it could be minted. You can, I mean, you could
Right,
shoot number 1. I mean, obviously, these sites would be smart enough to figure out what's going on. We're not gonna put you above Bitcoin in market cap, but
right,
all it takes is, "Hey, I've just minted 1,000,000,000 more tokens at my 5 cents, and, like, my market cap is up,"
right.
or whatever.
So hold on. I'm glad you're 100% right. And because it isn't a function of circulating supply times price, it's I mean, the thing is literally vanity-metric for that exact reason.
It is.
Now, the thing about Hex is it is, I mean, it does exactly what it says it's going to. It's immutable. There are no admin keys to it. So there is nobody that, like Richard or nor anyone, can go in and just mint 5 million new tokens at 5 cents. That
All
just
built
can't
into the
happen.
smart contract.
The smart contract is it's smart contract. The only way new tokens can be minted is basically through minting the rewards, right?
Sure.
And plus the supply inflates, but that's a function of the smart contract, and it doesn't change. It's a fixed percentage, and then the rewards go to the staking class, those of us that choose to stake the tokens.
Yeah.
And so it's important to note that because of some of the things you just mentioned of how easily manipulatable some of these projects are. And so as far as I'm concerned, when you have a project with admin keys or a token with admin keys, dude, stay away from it. Now, stables, I understand maybe why USDC needs to have admin keys, because it's backed dollar for dollar by the bank, and if they
Yeah.
find out terrorists are using it, they want to be able to turn their money off.
Mhm.
But you can't turn Hex off. You can't
I'm
turn
actually considering developing a DAO as the organizational structure for Claire. Um,
like
the
that.
tokenomics I'm trying to build out right now. So, like, hearing what you're saying now, it is an interesting tokenomics play. To say we burn the token when you stake and
Yeah,
we mint when you claim. That is interesting. I haven't heard of that before, so it's just something I have to really kind of process, because you can get really deep on what are the flaws in my economic model,
right.
and you have to think, if you're building this and actually saying we're launching it and stepping away, it can't be touched. Well, then you better do it right the first time.
Bingo.
You heard this weekend the NFT that locked up 34 million, that's locked forever,
Yep.
because they they built their smart contract incorrectly, and if you do that in a way that there is no access to it truly, then it better be good.
You better get it right the first time. So Hex
Yeah,
has had 3 audits, right? And I understand that, some people give certain validity to audits, some don't, but 3 audits,
sure.
an economics audit, a security audit, and I forget what the other one is. But it and listen, it was something that was, people kept saying like, man, when are you going to launch Hex, Richard? Like, when are you going to launch Hex? The joke was always 4 more weeks, like 4 more weeks. And it was 4 more weeks for months.
This is
Now,
how I feel right
currently,
now trying to come up with my plan, if you wanna know the truth,
well,
because
and
it's
that's
something
fair
you really have to think about.
because you're going to do it right. So here's the thing. Last week on an interview that Richard and I truly recommend that you take the time to watch any of Richard's interviews. Get past he says, like, if I have to dress like a clown for you guys, like the stuff that he wears, like making sure he's putting on $20,000 pants, that he has, millions of dollars that you can physically see. He even said from day one, Hex needs to be marketed like a scam in order to get the attention of people, because people don't listen to like you need to market, like it's got to be marketed by like a lot of the things that are, hey, Lamborghinis and this and that, a lot of those things are scams. He's like, I gotta how can I pack the most value into the smallest thing? And anyway, need to be marketed like a scam to be seen. But what I was pointing out about the audits is that Hex has had all those audits. People have tried to rip it apart for forever. And again, and listen to this. Guess who are the first Hex holders? Guess how the first guess who got the first coins in Hex? Guess how you got to get them?
Well, were they donated?
No, not at all. It was any Bitcoin holder could
Okay.
free mint. Essentially a Merkle tree function. You could
This
free mint from your Bitcoin, and all these Bitcoin maxis. Because Richard Hart used to mint 50 Bitcoin block rewards. He was mining back, 2011, I want to say, maybe, or he was double clicking an EXE file. You know what I mean? Getting 50 Bitcoin block rewards, paying 50 cents for electricity, basically.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the guy retired early, but the point is, he was a big Bitcoin maxi, and then he started understanding Ethereum, and then that's why people have had a lot of issues with them. Like, hey man, you just, you kind of went the other direction. And then so they started coming after him with the whole scam thing. But the first people that could have had HEX were Bitcoin holders for free. And so many of them didn't, just off of wanting to be stubborn. Like, nope, it's a scam, not going to mint it. How do you feel after a 1,000,000% increase, guys? You know what I mean? Like, it's got to feel pretty bad, right? And unfortunately, I didn't know about HEX at the time. Otherwise, I'd have a lot more HEX than I currently do. But what's crazy is I'm gonna have an interview on Thursday or Friday with my next door neighbor. I put up this channel. My girl sent it to his wife. She's like, oh my gosh, Don's a Hexican. Like Paul, he's a day one Hexican, bro. Like he's a day one. It's just wild. But my point is, like, the people that take the time to look into this, and if you take the time to, so this look into hex.com, again, I know we're bumping up against your 12 o'clock, but look at these. I mean, you can look at the stock to flow of, as far as what Hex has done, quarterly ROI. So T shares, here's an interesting thing to mention. So in Hex, the goal is really to get as many T shares as you can get, because if we were to go to Hex essentially, but T shares are, there's a certain amount of HEX per T share, and the amount of HEX that it costs per T share is continuously going up. Every single day it increases, and your T share is what determines your payout essentially in HEX. And so that's why bigger pays better and longer pays better. You get certain bonuses for the longer that you stake, so you can get more T shares. But the more T shares you have, the more you essentially are, dude, you become the bank and you're printing your own money.
Essentially a liquidity provider token.
Say that no, so it's not even a token. It's a function of it's at the time at which you staked, at the time at which you staked, like let's say it costs 18,000 HEX for a T share. Let's just say that, right? Let's just say that that's what it costs. So if you have 18,000 HEX and you stake that, then you essentially have 1 T share. Let's say you decide to stake it for 10 years. You now have 1.2 T shares. You actually get more T shares as time goes, but then the function of how it pays out, you essentially, however many T shares exist in the system, right? However many T shares there are, and there's a decreasing supply of T shares, is what is how you get paid out in terms of your rewards. And so like, dude, this thing is, as someone is a trader, dude, there's a Telegram group called Hex Trading. I think you would love looking into Hex Trading, especially as someone that is a trader and understands it, because these are guys that are Hexicans, that are Hex experts, that also believe in trading. Richard's whole thing of what he likes to tell a lot of us that follow him and listen to him and take his wisdom, is he's like, dude, trading wrecks most people. And unfortunately, that's true. And so it'll be interesting to see what you
overtrade. That's what I did. This is how I started in 2007.
Everyone's been burnt, right?
You overtrade, you paper hands. That's how I started too. So yeah, I mean, it took me 2 years to learn to trade.
And probably lots of money that you could have still had in your wallet.
All down the drain, I mean, for those first 2 years, I was not good at this, seriously.
We pay for our education in this, man, one way or the other, dude. And the thing is, NFTs, like, I think NFTs will have utility for some of the reasons you mentioned, like later on, right? Richard's big against like the pixel generated art and the art. I just did a video yesterday on one of the NFTs I hold, because it's fun for me to dabble in it with a small part of my portfolio. It's just it's simply fun. Now, would I prefer that those are more T shares? Yeah, I actually would. And especially because once PulseChain launches, for instance, the HEX that I'll send you, you're also going to have HEX on PulseChain, and it will be the most liquid pair on PulseChain. Will be essentially the Ethereum HEX and the PulseChain HEX, which will just be called HEX on PulseChain. That pair is going to be the most liquid pair. But but the thing about NFTs are, oh my gosh, what was the point I was trying to make of them? Is that once we do hit another crypto winter, what do you think are going to be some of the first things to be drained? Pictures of monkeys? Probably.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Why, one of the things for Claire that I'm considering, like I said, I'm being very thoughtful and considerate about this tokenomics model. But one thing I'm considering actually is an NFT governance token. So You probably understand that just by the title.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you hold the NFT, you're a governor, and so that's a utility, right, for the NFT itself, but I also want them to look really interesting, so on top of that, you have to find a badass artist, digital
You
artist, and
do.
I'm very picky about that, and, so I'm taking my time, and thinking that through, but, yeah, the tokenomics model of this is interesting. I love the idea of when you stake, you burn. I still have some questions about could there be a run on the bank in time? So I'll do some research, I
Do some
appreciate that.
research, man, and let's circle back on it. And also, let's stay in touch as far as what how your project is going. Because listen, if you can, I mean, my non-financial advice to people is get as much hex and T shares as you possibly can. Just do it. That's my advice, and that's mine, right? Your advice, which is non-financial advice, which it sounds like is, look, if you're going to trade, at least trade smart with my product. It's not it's Claire. What was the
Intelligent.
last? ClaireIntelligence. With ClaireIntelligence, like clairvoyant, like with ClaireIntelligence, trade with this and at least get far less wrecked. In fact, ideally, make money. So either way, you're doing something that is good for crypto, and especially for these traders, because people are trading so irresponsibly, man. Especially when they're doing 100x leverage. I mean, dude, people are getting wrecked, and so if you can help out, then
Yeah.
dude, that's great. And listen, I would tell you this, man, if you as you look into our community, and I know you have just a little time left, but as you look into the community, and you'll be a hexkin at least in holdings, once you send me a wallet address that I can send some to, then I just think that that's going to give you, and plus you're going to get free copies on PulseChain, but that's going to give you maybe some more incentive to even look into it. But
Yeah, I'll
my
watch it.
point to you is, dude, the development community on PulseChain it's like, I mean, people are so collaborative, dude. Almost all the developers that are doing stuff on PulseChain, they've done sacrifice phases similar to it. In fact, Liquid Loans, which is like Liquidity on ETH, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with Liquidity, but they're essentially the same Liquidity protocol where you can collateralize your PulseChain, and get a stable coin. So without selling your Pulse, you can actually pull your money out in stables. And anyway, it's but they raised like 87 million in the sacrifice phase. I mean,
Yeah,
Mintra, which is going to be like the open sea on PulseChain. I mean, last I checked at the HEX conference in Vegas a few weeks ago, they were at 5 million. Like it's fascinating. And my point is, just if you have value for people that want to trade, and there's going to be a lot of traders on PulseChain, dude, look into doing that, because I promise you, you're going to get PulseChain before you're going to get ETH 2.0. They just announced it's not going to happen in June for ETH
oh, yeah,
2.0,
for
as it was
sure.
mentioned. It's now going
I'm
to
not
be
holding my
fall.
breath on E
I'm guessing
2.0,
it's going to be
trust.
another 2 years. But
Yeah,
Richard, for the first time, gave a date, and it could, instead of just saying another 4 weeks, he said mid-May. All they're working on right now is getting the sacrifice balances correct, and then testnet's working. It's basically, then it's ready to push the button. It'll be open for the first couple days, with a bridge with PulseX, but it won't be open to anyone else other than token holders. And then after that, dude, the floodgates open, the fork happens, and then everyone that has something on ETH has something on Pulse. And it's
right.
going to be so interesting to see what happens, bro.
I agree. No, I agree. It's an interesting model, no doubt about it. So, yeah, I mean, you and I personally, let's keep talking over the next little while,
Absolutely.
but on a professional level, let's circle back on Claire in about 3 months, and by
Hey,
then, I think I'll have something to share.
sounds good, man. And also, yeah, for anyone that's watching, yeah, stay tuned in about 3 months, because I know that a lot of you Hexkins do like to trade. I know most don't, but some of
If
you
you like
probably
data,
do.
if you can read charts and you like that, if you're an Excel junkie or Tableau
Yeah.
or Google Data Studio, if you know how to look at information and you know how to apply filters by clicking little buttons, then I got the product for you.
And listen, so be looking out for what Scott does, because clearly he knows what he's talking about, and he's a good guy, and he's been successful out even before starting crypto. So it sounds like this is more passion project for you.
That's how it
So
started. It was a passion product, then it became my life. So I'm looking for something outside of crypto again, if you want to know the truth, just to take up some time. Okay, I gotta run. I think I lost you.
okay, no, we're back. Okay, yeah, you got to run. You got to catch your meeting.
That's
Hey,
it.
thanks so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, you
Enjoy the
too.
rest of your day.
Let's talk soon. Have a good day,
Let's
Don.
do it. All right, man. See you. All righty. So, man, that was cool. I gotta catch up with with a gentleman, like I said, I hadn't seen in 22 years. Probably seen him more recently than that, but certainly haven't interacted with him much. And yeah, it was just by happenstance. But anyway, I'd like to hear from your comments below what you think about his product. I know that most of us aren't big into trading. However, anything that gives us more data and insight is something that we're going to be interested in, especially when we're going to have a lot of Pulse and a lot of PulseX. And if he's able to have this thing work on PulseChain, which sounds like he's going to easily be able to do that. He just isn't aware of that yet, I'm guessing, because he hasn't done enough research on it. But he was smart that he sacked for PulseX at least. But yeah, the more information we have, the better. Look, I think maybe I'll leave everyone with that today. Coming up, my next door neighbor that I've known for 3 or 4 years, almost 4. Turns out he's a day one OG Hexican. And I did not know this until I published my first video. And my girl sent him, my fiance sent him sent his wife the link. And she's like, "What? You're a Hexican?" Anyway.
Thanks, HEXiest man in the world.
Hey, you're welcome, Richard.
Congrats on the kid, man.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate that too. So anyway, yeah, listen, by the way, thank you to everyone who subscribed. We actually have gone past 100 subs, so I can now do live streams. I'm very much looking forward to that. In fact, maybe the interview that I have with my next door neighbor will be live. I don't know. I want to make sure that we have, a good audience, a good amount of people that are able to jump on. I know there's a lot of other shows that on whose toes I don't want to step, or I don't want to, have to make people decide, where they want to go. There's so many reputable shows out there. Shout out to all you guys. Yeah, I hope this was a good discussion. Listen, any feedback from me, I'm always willing to learn and improve. So I'm open to it. Please leave it below. But everyone, please like and subscribe and comment. It helps the algorithm, helps us get the HEX message, the Pulse message, the PulseX message out to more people. And yeah, I think we will leave with that. I want to thank Scott again for coming on, and I'm very excited to see what his product looks like. Again, he's not targeting Hexicans or anyone on Pulse with this, so no need to hate on him with that. He's simply saying a project that he's doing on ETH, and he's excited to look into Hex, and I'm excited for him to do it too. So anyway, that's it for today on Tuesday, and I look forward to the next one. Thank you again, everyone. Like and subscribe and share.
A scam. HEX is not